Really quick, everybody, this entire video will be timestamped, so if you don't want to watch all the and just get straight into a different topic, please check the pinned comment or check the little red bar right down below you. Again, this entire video will be timestamped, and I'd appreciate you guys watching whatever part that you like to. Just stick around, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels, and this is everything that you missed in MMA this week, guys. So what we usually do on the channel here is we talk about every single little piece of news that came out in the MMA world this week, whether it's something giant that happened with Conor McGregor or something little with two fighters that you don't know about that are starting to fight each other. We're going to cover it all, and that's why timestamps are there, because some news you might not be interested in. So again, timestamps are there if you need them. Let's get in the first one for today. So this week has been a little bit slower on the MMA news side, but we're starting off with the Israel Adesanya drama, and that is the beginning of the week because it was still really hot that he KO'd Alex Pereira, and some people were really upset. So there's two things that people were upset with, and I'm not saying that I'm upset as well. I made a whole video talking about specifically my thoughts on the situation. Long story short, I don't think he should be taunting a little kid, even though the kid deserved it. People were upset about him because, one, he knocked out Pereira and was doing the bow and arrow thing. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that made for a really, really cold picture, especially of a rivalry and you don't like each other. Completely acceptable. And the second piece is, like I said, where he went up and started taunting Alex Pereira's son. That's where I think he crossed the line a little bit personally, but again, I made a whole video talking about that. If you're interested, check it out. So the whole point of this piece of news here is there's a huge drama about Israel Adesanya, whether or not he should have done those two things. I think taunting's fine. I think taunting his son is not fine. Long story short, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below. Moving on to the next piece of news, Jan Blachowicz wants to fight Israel Adesanya. To everyone's surprise, he wants to cut down to 185 pounds and challenge for Izzy's belt this time. And man, I like the idea for it, but I don't because Jan's a big guy. Could you imagine him cutting down to 185 pounds? I don't think that would go well. Honestly, I think he would look horrible. It would be kind of like TJ Dillashaw cutting down to 125. I would be surprised if he can make 185 pounds, but he says he could do it, and that would honestly be very interesting to see Jan Blachowicz of all people as a middleweight champion. Like, it's not far-fetched for me to see him as champion, but I mean, like, a middleweight champion? The dude is a big guy. And still on the Israel Adesanya topic, him and Dricus du Plessis have been having a huge back and forth, and Kamaru Usman in there a little bit. I know this can get a little bit dicey, so I'm going to literally sum up the information as like lightly as possible to be nice with the YouTube terms, because you can't get into like this kind of flies into the political spectrum, but not really. But I'm going to err on the side of safety. It has something to do with Dricus du Plessis saying that he is the original fighter from Africa, and if they were to fight Israel Adesanya, he would be on the African side. Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman didn't like that, and they were kind of like going back and forth a little bit, and Dricus du Plessis is really, really standing his ground. Then they had a little bit of drama with Ariel Helwani, where Ariel was kind of grilling Dricus du Plessis. I encourage you to go check out that interview because it's interesting, but I can't really talk about it. I want to be safe on YouTube, you know what I mean? Moving on, we got news about Gilbert Burns' next fight. Gilbert Burns just had a fantastic win over Jorge Masvidal, and he is officially going to be the backup fighter for Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, a fight that's still not booked, but still in the works. Leon Edwards is not fighting in the summer unless he gets a giant payday, so who knows when that's going to happen, but Gilbert Burns is going to be the backup fighter. Speaking of next fights, Alex Pereira announced that his next fight will be at light heavyweight. He's leaving the division. Doesn't look like we're going to see a rematch with Adesanya unless Adesanya wants to move up in the division again, which I can kind of see happening. I don't know how well he would do at 205 because he was kind of really undersized against Jan Blachowicz, but Alex Pereira, man, I don't know how he's going to look after that KO in general. Has he been KO'd before? I don't even know if Alex Pereira has been KO'd before. Regardless, it's going to be interesting to see him at light heavyweight, but man, that's one of those knockouts that could take your chin away. I don't know how he'll do. It's going to be interesting to see. Moving on, we have a little bit of an update. We've been talking about this every week. Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje 2. So Dustin says he finally came up with a date that he would like to fight Justin Gaethje, but he didn't solidify anything. He said that he would like to fight Justin in the summer, and Justin makes sense for an opponent. So Dustin was kind of dancing around the idea. He was like, oh, you know what? That would be a fun fight, but I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward. He was kind of like saying that kind of stuff. But now he's acknowledging Gaethje should be his next opponent. It will be fun, and he wants to fight in the summer. So hopefully we can get that on International Fight Week. That'd be, oh man, that could be a main event, I swear. Probably, definitely not, but you know what I mean? Like, I'd be okay with it as a main event. Moving on to the next topic, we have a little bit of an update on the Jorge Masvidal cheating allegation. So if you guys haven't seen it, Gilbert Burns at his post-fight press conference after fighting Jorge Masvidal said that he was greasing and said that there's some like old tricks in the book where Masvidal felt really slippery and he didn't want to get grappled. Masvidal clapped back and was like, I am no cheater. That he said more than that, but pretty much what he said. He said he's not a cheater, and he's like, Gilbert Burns is just talking out of his butt, you know what I mean? But Gilbert Burns actually came out with an apology video saying that he has no evidence that it was to like back up his claims, and he sincerely apologizes to the fans and Jorge Masvidal. One of the reasons why I love Gilbert Burns so much. He is one of my favorite fighters. You know, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Jorge Masvidal actually did that, but it's nice that Gilbert Burns, like, how often do you see that from fighters? Just on his own time, made a video where he's like, hey, in the moment I accused Masvidal of cheating and it wasn't right of me to do, I'm sorry. Like, that's awesome. Love Gilbert Burns. So there's the update on Masvidal's cheating allegations. Moving on to the next topic, Rob Font wants to welcome Deiveson Figueiredo to the 135-pound division, which, interestingly enough, Deiveson Figueiredo, and we'll cover this at the same time, Deiveson Figueiredo was talking about his next fight being at 135 pounds after Rob Font's call out, and this is why people are saying Figueiredo is dodging Rob Font or ducking Rob Font, especially since how good he looked over the weekend, you know what I mean? He said that he wants to have a few more fights at 125 before moving up. So it doesn't look like Deiveson Figueiredo's retirement is coming anytime soon, but that like changed real quickly. Deiveson Figueiredo now wants to fight, and I don't know if I wrote it down, man. I apologize if this is a little bit of, it's actually, I did write it down. Sorry if that's a little bit of a lack of professionalism there. Manel Cap is in the works for 290. All of a sudden, Figueiredo does not want to fight Rob Font, and Manel Cap is now in the works for 290. I don't know if he's ducking, man, because he was so adamant about going up to 135 and how, like, horrible the cut was on him. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about this. Moving on to the next topic, we have a little bit of an update on Max Holloway's future. Now, Max Holloway was doing the rounds of interviews because, of course, he's fighting this weekend. Now, he said that he doesn't want to move up divisions. Well, he didn't specifically say that, but he still said that he's sticking around a featherweight, and he is going to still gun for Alexander Volkanovski. He still thinks he can beat Volkanovski. He thinks if he clears up the division, he can get another title shot, and he still believes that he has the capabilities of beating Alexander Volkanovski, and he was really trying to be humble, and I respect that. So my words won't do what he said justice, because he was being very, very respectful, okay? He said that he still believes he's a better fighter than Alexander Volkanovski, and that's why he's not retired. He still wants a gun for that title. He wants the belt back. And again, I know how that sounds, but he's being as respectful as possible. So don't take my word for it like how I said it, because I could come off like, hey, Max thinks he's better than Volkanovski, but that's not how he made it sound at all. He was extremely, extremely respectful, and he's still gunning for that belt. So we're going to see more of Max Holloway in the future. Moving on to the next topic, Cynthia Calvillo was cut from the UFC. This isn't really a surprise. I don't have too much else to say about it. It's kind of weird because she looked very promising when she came into the UFC, but now she just lost after loss after loss and just looking sloppy and horrible. So this isn't surprising to me. Something that is a little bit surprising to me, though, is TJ Dillashaw retires. He can't get his shoulder. He can't fix his shoulder, and he keeps going surgeries, and he's getting older and older and older. That's a set that he claimed it was a forced retirement. So it's a little sad to see, but at the same time, like, the dude was cheating. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I just am so against people who cheat, man. It's horrible. And TJ Dillashaw was one of my favorite fighters. That's why I have like such a dicey relationship with TJ Dillashaw. One of my favorite fighters. I literally modeled my Muay Thai style after TJ Dillashaw. He was a huge inspiration to me, and just to find out that he cheated. I understand that I'm going off the rails here, but like my whole point with that is my relationship with him has changed, and I'm like, man, I don't know if you should be fighting, so I don't really care about the retirement. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about him. It still makes me sad, though. The guy was literally an inspiration to me. Moving on to the next topic, and guys, please take this one with a grain of salt, because I don't really know where it came from, because I've seen a little bit of rumblings around online. Apparently, Francis Ngannou is in conversations again, or in talks to sign with One Championship. I believe we've heard this before, but the talks have been risen back up again. Ngannou's probably getting a little bit desperate to sign with somebody. But take this one with a grain of salt, because I haven't really seen it from any official MMA page or anything like that. We've just seen, hey, Ngannou's talking to One Championship again. So I'm sorry if this isn't exactly accurate. People were talking about Francis Ngannou in One Championship the other day, so I did want to mention it. That's a possibility. Moving on, we got a big fight announcement. UFC 290, Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja has been announced. Now, if you guys didn't know, they fought back in the day, and Brandon Moreno actually lost that fight, but how much can you really take that loss into consideration? Because Brandon Moreno is an ever-improving fighter. He has been improving. Look, he came back to get the championship. So I don't know how much I really consider that first fight there into moving on to this next one. But, man, Pantoja's good. I don't know if Moreno's going to get the win here. That's a toughie to break down. I'm excited for this fight. Brandon Moreno is always exciting, man. I'm hyped for this one. Next topic, we got Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic, a possible date, but an update. Originally, they were supposed to headline International Fight Week. That's what the UFC wanted. That's what Dana White wanted. That's what Jon Jones wanted. I would imagine where the talks fell apart was Stipe Miocic, because Stipe, I don't know what's going on with him, man. But now, apparently, they are in talks to have that fight sometime in the fall. Stipe is not getting any younger. This is going to be worse and worse for him. And who knows if they're even going to fight in the fall, man. I'm not even confident with anything with John Jones and Stipe Miocic, to be honest with you. Next topic, we got a little bit of a fight announcement. Braxton Smith versus Parker Porter at UFC 288. Two heavyweights going at it. This is always a good time. It's going to be a fun fight. Moving on to bigger news, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz has officially been announced for August 5th. They're fighting in the summer. Diaz is going to get murdered. I made a whole video talking about this, so I won't break down the fight, but man, Jake Paul is a smart guy. Big fight for him, Nate Diaz, and I don't see any scenario where Nate Diaz wins this fight. Either that or it could even be fixed. I'm not above thinking that. So yeah, it's a fight announcement. I'm still not too big on the influencer boxing scene, but Jake Paul is actually trying to be a actual boxer. So I don't know. I have an exception for Jake Paul, but the rest of them, I just don't want to see, man. But still, I don't even know if I'm going to watch this one, to be honest with you. Circling back to some Alex Pereira news, somebody who tossed his name into the hat after Alex Pereira said that he was going to move up to light heavyweight is Volkan Oezdemir. Volkan Oezdemir wants to fight Alex Pereira. And honestly, it kind of makes sense in the division. I feel like if Alex Pereira is going up to 205, they will give him a top 5 contender because he was a champion and he's a big name at this point because of his Adesanya and the history with him. So I don't know who would win that fight. It's definitely a good matchup for Pereira. But Oezdemir is pretty solid, you know what I mean? I just don't know how Alex is going to look at light heavyweight, but that's a possible fight that might come apart. Moving on, we have very sad news, guys. Very, very sad news. Renato Moicano and Jonathan Pierce both pull out of their fights. Oh my god, I was looking forward to it, but Moicano, man, I didn't want to see him lose because I'm all on the money Moicano train, so I can't really complain too much, but man, those were good fights. Well, however, Movsar Evloev offered to step in against Bryce Mitchell, which would be a very, very fun fight. A little bit more dangerous for Bryce Mitchell because I thought he would win against Jonathan Pierce. So I don't know if Bryce is going to win, especially with his performance last time, but that could just be Ilya looking as good as he is. So I don't know. Nothing's official yet, but those two fights are canceled, and I am so sad about it. So that's all the news that happened this week, guys, and it's a little bit more of a slower week for MMA news. However, UFC Fight Night and LFA are this weekend. LFA 156 I'm going to watch tonight. LFA is a very underrated organization. If you have Fight Pass, check it out. It's on around 8 p.m., I believe. Don't quote me on that. 8 or 9, somewhere around there. And we have the UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus Allen. It's going to be great. If you're interested, I did a whole full card breakdown and prediction for that fight. I always do that on the channel as well as these videos, so subscribe if you'd like to see more. As far as I know, making this video, I'm recording at 11 a.m. So far, everybody has made weight, but I can't really give you the updates there because I'm releasing the video, and then I'm going to my parents. We're going to hang out, and then I'm going to watch LFA. So I can't give you the updates on everybody weighing in for tomorrow, but as of right now, everybody has weighed in. And with that being said, guys, I'm going to call the video there. Thank you so much for watching. On the screen right now, you will have 2 fantastic MMA videos, one of them being the full card breakdown I was just talking about for tomorrow. Check it out. Great videos. I will see you in the next one. Take care.